The billionaire is not the first one to arrive. A team gets there hours earlier. They walk the entrance, they clear the path, they check every room, every seat, every face. By the time the billionaire steps out of the car, it looks effortless. It is not effortless, it is engineered. When you arrive somewhere, you adapt, you find parking, you wait, you ask for directions, you figure it out. A billionaire does not adapt to the environment adapts to them. And that transformation happens in the hours before they ever show up, executed by a small, invisible team that most people never think about, never see, and never hear mentioned. Today we go inside that system. We are covering the full operation, how the advanced team scouts a location before the principal ever arrives, how they manage drivers, security, and staff, how they pre-clear rooms, control access, and time every movement down to the minute. We will walk through a hotel arrival, a private dinner, a major public event, and a private villa, and we will show you exactly what is happening in the background that you never see. This is not about luxury, it is about control. Once you understand the system, you will never watch a billionaire walk into a room the same way again. Start with something basic, a hotel. A billionaire is flying in tomorrow, a flagship property in London, Dubai, or New York. You know what it feels like to arrive at a nice hotel. You check in, you find the room, you settle in. That is not what happens here. 12 to 18 hours before the principal lands, a member of the advanced team contacts the hotel through a private liaison, not the front desk, a dedicated internal contact who has handled this before and knows what is expected. A requirements sheet goes over first. Suite configuration, items to remove, items to add, dietary preferences, approved vendors, the exact names of every staff member cleared for access. Then a physical scout arrives and walks the route. Private entrance to elevator to suite floor. They time it. They identify every choke point where a photographer, a fan, or a hotel guest could appear unexpectedly. They note camera positions. They locate the blind spots. Then they go up to the suite. Inside, they are not checking that the room is clean. They are checking that it has been built correctly. Certain things get removed. Standard hotel art the principal dislikes. Furniture that crowds the space. Anything scented. Minibar items that conflict with dietary restrictions. Other things get placed. A specific brand of still water. Fresh flowers of a particular variety. The principal's preferred coffee equipment. Sometimes a personal item shipped ahead of the visit. And something familiar that makes an unfamiliar room feel like a known space. The thermostat is set to a specific temperature, the lighting is adjusted, the blackout curtains are tested, the Wi-Fi is confirmed, and in some cases, a private secure network is installed separately. The team checks every window for sightlines from adjacent buildings. They check whether a camera with a telephoto lens could reach the suite from a rooftop across the street. Only when every item on the checklist is verified does the suite get locked. Access is handed to exactly 2 people from that point forward. Now think about the timing. The principal has not yet landed, the plane is still in the air, and there is already a locked, inspected, configured suite waiting for them, a tested route from the private entrance, a hotel liaison standing by with the exact arrival window, a security sweep already run on the floor. The billionaire walks in, and the room feels like it was simply always ready. It was, just not by accident. Now something more dynamic, a private dinner, not a reservation, not a special table, something more specific than that. The principal's team contacts the restaurant weeks in advance, sometimes a month or more. They request a site visit before any booking is confirmed. A team member comes in, eats, evaluates, and asks to see the private dining options. They are not evaluating the food, that is assumed. They are evaluating the room layout, the entrance and exit points, whether there is a private entrance that bypasses the main dining room entirely, whether the kitchen staff can be kept separate from the service staff, whether the table can be positioned so the principal's back is to a wall and their face is not visible from any public area. They look at the distance from the street, the sight lines from the windows, the noise level, and they look very carefully at the staff. The staff question is one of the most intensive parts of any advanced operation. Before a major principal visits a restaurant or venue, the team often requests a confirmed list of who will be working that night. In high security situations, this involves formal background checks. More commonly, it is a strict vetting of access. Who will be in the room? Who will serve? Who will not be present at all? Staff are briefed before the evening begins. They will not engage the principal unless spoken to directly. No photographs, no autographs, no phones in the service area during the visit, and no discussion of who dined there, before, during, or after. Adjacent tables are sometimes cleared for the full duration of dinner. The restaurant is compensated for the covers it is not seating. The advanced team confirms the layout the afternoon before. They walk the entrance route. They time the service sequence with the head chef, and they make one final call to the principal's scheduler to lock the timeline. The car arrives at a specific moment. The principal walks a specific route. The first course arrives inside a specific window. The exit is planned before the dinner starts. Let us talk about the exit, because most people think about arrivals. Advanced teams think about exits first. An exit that goes wrong is more damaging than an arrival that runs slightly late, a crowd forming at the door, a photographer at the only way out, a car that is not there. These are the failures that become photographs, that become stories, that become the image people carry. So the exit is built with the same precision as the entrance. The car is never parked. It is staged. There is a specific difference. Parked means the driver is waiting somewhere convenient. Staged means the driver knows the exact moment the principal will stand up from the table and the car will reach the designated door before that person does. The advanced team runs a live communication loop the entire evening. The principal's aide is connected to the security lead, who is connected to the driver, when the signal comes from inside the room that the principal is preparing to leave. The car is already moving, not after they stand, not after they reach the door. The sequence begins from a signal sent while they are still seated. The window from principal reaching door to car being present is often under 90 seconds. That is a rehearsed outcome. Now the most complex environment, a major public event, a film premiere, an awards ceremony, a business summit with media presence. These environments have hundreds of uncontrolled variables, multiple security teams with competing priorities, press positioned at every angle, crowds that are unpredictable by design. For a major appearance, the advance operation begins 3 to 5 days out. Day 1, a site visit. The team attends the venue as credentialed staff or members of the public. They observe entry protocols, media positions, the layout of the arrival corridor. They map every camera position. They identify every point where the principal could be photographed without consent. Day 2, a coordination call. The principal's security lead speaks with the event's director of security. They negotiate the entry point, the arrival time window, access to a holding area, and exit protocol. These negotiations can become contentious. Every major principal wants preferential treatment. At a large event, every team is competing for the same accommodations. Day 3, a physical walkthrough. One team member walks the full route from car to venue entrance to the principal's designated position inside. They time it. They identify every unpredictable element and locate a contingency path in case the primary route is blocked. Then comes the holding room, and this is the part most people never think about. Major principals do not wait in general arrival areas. They have a private holding space, sometimes no larger than a conference room, sometimes an entire floor of an adjacent hotel. They arrive before the public-facing moment and wait in a controlled environment until the precise entry window opens. The advanced team prepares the holding room the same way they prepare a suite. Preferred refreshments, adjusted lighting, minimal personnel. But the holding room is not a comfort measure, it is a control mechanism. It eliminates the single biggest risk in any public appearance, an uncontrolled wait in an uncontrolled environment. A principal standing in a general holding area can be approached, photographed, and put in an uncomfortable position they did not agree to. A principal in a private holding room is unreachable until the team opens the door. The spontaneity you see at these events is manufactured. The candid walk, the natural-looking greeting with another guest, the perfectly timed moment at the cameras. All of it is the product of precise entry timing, calculated in advance, executed on a signal. Now the most controlled environment of all, a private villa. When a major principal visits a private property, the advance operation is the most extensive of any travel format, more intensive than a hotel, more intensive than most yacht deployments. Because a villa has nothing built in, no trained security, no existing protocols, no institutional knowledge of the principal's preferences. The advanced team builds the entire operating layer from scratch, and that process begins 7 to 14 days before arrival. They conduct a full physical inspection, entry points, perimeter, sight lines from neighboring properties, staff quarters, kitchen layout, communication infrastructure. They identify every gap, Every person on property for the duration of the stay is vetted. Permanent villa staff and hired temporary staff. NDAs are signed. Movement protocols are established. The rules for how staff interact with the principal, where they go, and when are communicated clearly before the advance team leaves. A procurement contact handles the supply order. Food, beverages, personal care items, specific product brands, everything sourced and stocked before arrival. Secure communications are installed. In some situations, a full blackout protocol is established for staff, meaning no personal devices, no social media, no outside calls while the principal is on property. And then the team runs a rehearsal. One member plays the role of the principal. They arrive at the gate, move through the property, enter the villa, walk every room. Every friction point is found and removed before the real arrival happens. Only after the rehearsal is the property certified ready. There is a term used inside these operations that most people outside this world have never heard: sterile corridor. A sterile corridor is a path through a public or semi-public space that has been pre-cleared of all unauthorized personnel. When a principal moves through an airport, a hotel lobby, or an event venue, the advance team creates this corridor in the minutes before movement begins. Security takes position at both ends. Staff are cleared from the path. Any bystander who drifts in is redirected before the principal enters the space. The active window for this can be as short as 45 seconds. From the outside, it looks like the billionaire simply walked through a lobby. From the inside, that 45-second walk was the end product of a 2-hour operation. Here is what sits at the center of all of this. This system exists not primarily because billionaires are in physical danger, some are, but most of this operation is not about safety in the conventional sense. It is about something more psychological. When you eliminate friction completely, when every door opens before you reach it and every room is ready before you walk in, the world stops feeling like something you navigate. It starts feeling like something that responds to you. Over time, that does not register as luxury. It registers as normal. The baseline shifts, and a world with friction in it begins to feel broken because this person has not experienced friction in years. Advanced teams are not just a logistical function. They are a perception maintenance system. They sustain the principal's lived experience that the world simply works, that things go smoothly, that obstacles do not exist. The billionaire does not see the 12 hours of preparation. They do not see the rehearsal or the staff briefing or the sterile corridor ceiling shut behind them. They see a world that works. And after long enough, they stop knowing it was ever built for them. Here is what we covered. Before every major arrival, a team is already on the ground. The entrance and exit are scouted and cleared. The room is inspected and configured. Staff are vetted, briefed, and positioned. The car is staged, not parked. The route is walked and timed. The holding room is prepared. The sterile corridor is built and collapsed in the exact window needed. At a hotel, this starts 12 to 18 hours before landing. At a private villa, 1 to 2 weeks before arrival. At a major public event, it is a multi-day operation. The output of all of it is one impression: that everything goes smoothly, that the principal moves through the world with ease. That impression is a product built by people you will never see. If you found this worth your time, subscribe. We go inside systems like this every week. The real infrastructure, real behavior, and real psychology behind extreme wealth. Next video, why billionaires keep multiple homes ready. Because they do not own houses, they run a network. Homes in different cities already stocked, already staffed, and ready to switch on at a moment's notice. So wherever they land, it feels like they never left. That is next. Do not miss it.